You remember Pac-Man? Yeah, the little yellow ball who has been the main mascot for Namco, now merged with Bandai for 41 years now. The fella will always have a place in my heart since the days I played Pac-Man World 2 on my GameCube. I don't like the new reboot they gave him at all, though, as they made him an annoying high school kid trying too hard to be cool. But that isn't the point. Before I start, it's obvious that I'm a big Pac Man fan. I originally played the original arcade game on the World 2's arcade bonus area, which allows you to play all of the classic games from the 80s. One day, I was chatting with my friend on Skype, who alerted me, told me that he found an supposed version of Pac Man. A ROM that was found in locked away in a safe in the back of an old arcade in some abandoned amusement park and extracted from a damaged PCB board. Honestly, I don't believe him. But he gave me a link that I kept noted for a few days later since I was busy with school at the time. Eventually, when I got home one late Friday and I hopped on my computer, I was originally going to play more L4D2 or Quick Live. However, I was reminded of a link that my friend gave me thanks to the trusty notepad file I saved to my laptop. I opened the link up and was taken to a browser page. The page itself had a story and stated that the players who were able to finish this original arcade game board suffer a severe psychological and occasionally physiological trauma, up to including death of the subject, and that the ROM's effect is significantly reduced. I put my head over my face and composed, thinking, well, this is all going to be another Lavender Town Syndrome hoax. But I digressed and clicked the link leading to where I could play the game on my browser so I didn't have to risk downloading it and getting any creepy viruses, I guess. The game loaded with a corrupted ROM setup, accompanied by a loud static before displaying with the words, "Insert coin." I noticed that it briefly flashed from coin to soul for about a split second now and then. I hit enter and started the game. The familiar maze board that many gamers probably remember display along with Pac-Man in the middle where the fruit would usually appear. The little jingle was always stuck in my head as a child played, but it was really off. It started with a normal before slowing down, then speeding up, growing loud towards the end, also getting on the lower key. Once the jingle finished, I moved Pac-Man, presented by his iconic pizza shape. One thing I noticed was that I couldn't see any pellets unless Pac-Man came into the view of certain channels. I also occasionally saw the blue ghost roaming the maze. He had a sad face on his face that reminds of a jack-o'-lantern. Always reminded me of some sort of a ghost in the goblins, honestly. The Munching Dots play his usual Waka Waka sound effect, but it was much more deeper than usual. The ghost siren in the background was also slowed down. There were fewer power pellets, as Pac-Man game would have, of course. I ate one and was briefly able to see the full view of Pac Dots and the location of the ghost. This does not allow me to eat them, however, as when I touch the ghost, I simply die. Dying results in one of the things. The screen would zoom in where the Pac-Man had died and spin around while his death sound would play, but then conduct into static. The screen would freeze before restarting, or the sprite of a ghost would flash upon the screen along with a loud screech. Needless to say, it pissed me off. I eventually cleared the first board and the next level started. This time there was a red ghost who had a sinister smile. If he saw Pac-Man, he would charge down the channel where you on of a maze with an obnoxious buzzing sound. I should also add the fact that the level counter would occasionally flash to names, which I presume were the new ghosts that were added each time. The first level was named Blindy, which I kind of occasionally assumed it was because he was moving around randomly, like Clyde. This time it was Screamy, judging from his AI behavior. I think the name is well fitting. If you got out of his line of sight where he was charging would make things a bit easier. The only thing to mention is occasionally his sprite was flickered between his rather sinister brony grin to the original 8-bit sprite of Blinky. The Red Ghosts and Namco's, or if you're American, Midway. Original arcades, Cabets. The next level introduced a much more annoying ghost named Slendy. And his name impales, he acted somewhat like Slenderman. In a way, he would teleport around the maze at random and even pop up right in front of your face. All music and sound stop as if he's in your view. If you stayed in his line of sight, he would start to get an angry look on his face and eventually turn yellow. At this point, if he does turn yellow, he would more than likely teleport on top of you. The next level introduced an old one who happened to be pink. This was probably the worst of all, as he would follow Pac-Man in the face through the walls of the board. His appearance was probably the most uninteresting compared to the other ghost. He had strange tentacles like an octopus or a squid. And he had some strange spot on the top of his head, almost like some sort of a gemstone. Also, unlike the other three, he was the only one lacking of a mouth completely. The fifth level was getting things started a little weirder. Though the walls of the maze started disappearing. No, I'm not even kidding. They were vanishing and I could go through the board freely. It became more annoying this way, considering that I couldn't stay straight and the ghosts can get the advantage. After clearing this board, I noticed that the next level was exactly the same. I can only presume the rest of the game was like this now. So I ended my game here. Dying results in the screen asking play again, along with a countdown. Accepting with the reset of the games while letting the timer runs out, simply printed out game over. In the white text of if a letter of the three results mentioned earlier regarding Pac-Man's death occurred, you could get a jump scare with a screaming with a screech when the timer reached a certain point. Afterwards, there was a real red screen with insert coin, occasionally flicking to please help. Eventually, I closed the game out. Went to bed, honestly. I never knew the classic would get even darker twist. At least not like this. I really hope this was not a real game, or if it was, that I really feel guilty for those who had to play with this. Update. I had recently came back to this game after I saw the community's leader, Mutahar, has played this game and had apparently been updated just recently. The following text was as follows. Report October 16th, 2015. Additional repairs were complete in original arcade PCB sections N1 through R6. Technician casualties. Mr. Harper fell into a static state during testing, declared brain dead. New ROM compelled, noticeable change. Unknown. End reports. Most of the updates did list these supposed technicians who did the edits of the PCB board all either died in some way of some causes. This, however, caught me as it didn't list as many details as the others. So out of my curiosity, I decided to play in the ROM again. Playing through 1 through 5 levels weren't too much different. The sound seems unaltered slightly though, mainly Pac-Man's death. where it would sometimes play halfway before turning into white noise. Here it only play the half of its sound a bit over and over like a broken record. The screech on the jump scares would also change into high-pitched white noise. When I get to the level 6, though, is when things are starting to get interesting. Upon entering this level, the walls of a maze are back. I began to munch my way along with the channels of pack dots. It was quiet though. The ghost sirens wasn't playing in the background. I was rather suspicious and continued onward. There weren't even ghosts in the little boxes. After munching a certain numbers of dots leading to something unexpected, I heard this loud higher pitch of waka waka eating a power pellet. I found out what exactly this thing was. It's another Pac-Man, but it was dark gray. I wasn't exactly freaked out though until after eating another set amount of dots. All the text box with scores, lives, and whatnot changed to run. What sounded like an eyeball sound. What you hear after you eat a ghost in an arcade version as it runs back to the box in the middle. As the deeper pitch started playing, the dark Pac-Man started moving faster, eventually caught up with me, and the screen started glitching, showing several sprites and letters, pretty much the original level 256 taken, to a whole new level of weirdness. After this, the screen cleared up, and I was taken to a first-person view? What the hell? The graphics were pretty much like the Wolfenstein 3D and Doom. The pack dogs laid around and I couldn't tell what exactly was happening. Eventually I came across Pac-Man? What exactly is going on here? He was a 2D sprite with about 4 different directions. Much like the said games above. He seems to be wandering around the maze. I was confused and pondered myself a bit. Then it hit me. I was a ghost. I decided my neutral instance to catch the yellow orb per usual. It seemed he was running away from me. But even if that was the case, it was freaky seeing the damn thing coming towards with a wide open jaws. Even if it's his simple pizza appearance. Upon touching him 3 times, the game window flashed to black and simply stayed that way. Upon a closing, I couldn't help but wonder, what could this mean? Could this even the ghost? Could this even mean the ghost were the past Pac-Mans? Or even worse, the past players? You can find a few versions of this game on the internet if you wish to play it. Probably the most popular place resides on Game Jolt. However, I warn you, you may not want to play it. I still love Pac-Man to this day, and the original arcade especially, but I never thought there was a much darker tale to this darkened maze.